Find product links below and hundreds more videos on my channel.
Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Nitsan, I'm a filmmaker and photographer, and today I wanted to talk to you about the 672 series from Aputure. This is a series of lights which comes in both color changing versions and non-color changing versions, and they are specifically designed with the intention of having a very high quality of light, a very white light that shows colors very well, and they do very well in that regard. The rating that this has is 95 plus CRI, which basically means it's very close to daylight. Basically the ideal sort of light that we want would be daylight, which shows all the colors that we want to see in our image. So they do have a very good quality of light. I will have downloadable raw images with these lights that you can download down below. The current setup that you're watching right now is the Sony A7S, recording with daylight white balance and no alterations to the green magenta. So these lights are giving us a very nice quality of light, very usable in professional applications. Although of course you can have a look, like I said, have a look at the image of this video, and the image is downloadable down below. The audio from this video is coming from the V mic from Aputure, the new version, the D2. The way that I have set up the lights right now is I have the color changing version here and here, and I have the non-color changing version there and there. And in a separate video I will compare these lights being used with umbrellas, because there aren't soft boxes available for these lights, just umbrellas, as well as the big soft boxes with separate lights. So that will be a comparison in a separate video. And in another video, there will be a comparison of this with some other lights that you might want to consider as well. The older version, the 528, which I reviewed a long time ago, some Yongnuos, the smaller new light from Aputure, which is nice as well. Now this light does give us a decent amount of power for the price, but there are lights that do give you more lux for your dollar. The daylight balanced version of this light gives us 2200 lux at 1 meter away, which is pretty good. The color changing version gives us under 1200 lux at 1 meter away, which is much lower than I would want to see for a light at this price point. It will get a little bit brighter when used sort of in the middle between the two colors, but not by a huge amount. It only gets to about 1800 when you put it right in the middle between the two, like this. For the purpose of this review, I'm going to leave it at 5500 Kelvin, the daylight color, which is, for me, the only thing that's really useful. The tungsten color temperature that you can get from this, the 3200 color temperature that you can get from this, is not very useful for me. It can have some uses for some shooters. For me, it's not really something useful, which is why personally I prefer to get the daylight balanced version of any light that I get, because they do give you more power, and simply use a gel on it when needed. These don't generate heat, which means they don't need a fan. These ones that have been running for a while are slightly above room temperature, but perfectly fine. One of the things that I absolutely love about these 672 lights is that they come with a fantastic remote control system. Now, I do have a remote control system for some of my other lights, for example my Pixapro lights, which are my main lights, but I don't use it because it's way too complicated. I can never figure out what I'm trying to do, and I may end up figuring out how to properly use this at some point, but for now it's just been way too complicated, and I just go up to the light and control it like that. But when you need to have a remote control system, you do want to have it easily controllable, and this one is fantastic. So this one, for example, was very easy to set up the lights. You have a button for group and a button for channel, and those are basically two different ways that you can differentiate between the lights. So I know that I have all of them right now set to channel 1, and I have them set to group 1, group 2, and group 3, which basically means that each one is controlled individually, but I could have multiples in one group. So I could have a few over there and call all of them group 1 to control all of them together. So here I know that if I want to turn that light off, I can do that, or this one off, or this one off. So it is very nice and quick and easy to do, and I can also dim them, and I can also control their color temperature, and that is lovely, and you do it all from one remote, and it's beautiful. I love this. But I do think that this should be sold separately rather than come with the lights, because now I have 3 spares of this sitting and not being used. Now spares are fine, but if I could have saved cost on the units themselves and not have had 3 spares, then I think that would be good. And that is something that I think goes for the rest of the lights system as well. This is being sold as a kit, which comes with a lot of stuff, it's a good thing. When you buy one, you get a kit that's ready to use and complete. Comes with two large batteries. These are the, I think it's around 700 milliamp hours, which is, 7,000 milliamp hours, which is the ones that you want to get, basically the biggest ones. It comes with the charger, which charges through the unit itself, which is great. The charger can also be used to power up the unit. It's basically a dual purpose charger, which is great. And it does come with a case, very nice quality, nicely padded, and has space to keep all the accessories as well. Another thing that comes with the unit is this umbrella holder and tilty part, and I'm not a big fan of this. It does add a little bit more time to the setup of the system, and it's not amazing quality. It is strong enough to hold an umbrella, but the umbrella hole is slightly too close to this little twisty knob here. The spigot that comes with it, I think this thing is called a spigot, I'm not sure. But this little guy that comes with it has these flat areas which are just incredibly annoying, and basically it just means that when you try and aim it, half the time it won't want to aim exactly and lock in the exact position that you want it to lock in, or when you try and loosen it just a tiny bit to turn it, it will be on the flat area, which means it won't want to turn, and you have to loosen it up even more to get it to turn. So these are things that you could replace yourself, but ideally it would have either come with a better system for mounting or not come with any at all, so that you can just buy your own one and not have spent money on the one that comes with it, which then isn't really that great. But again, not a big issue. You can, change these parts around, but it would be nice to have these available both as kits with all these extra things that come with it, and with just the individual pieces alone. So just the cable or just the light unit itself. That would allow you to buy these in a more compact package that costs you a little bit less without having to buy cases that maybe you won't use because you're using your own larger case, etc. The light is built exactly the same as the previous one, except that the LEDs are closer together, so there's more of them. This is the 528 that I reviewed a few years ago. Now, one thing that I've learned is that even though the build quality initially seems very good, you do need to be careful with these lights because they are not that durable. The batteries themselves, I've never broken any that were from Aputure, but I do know that generally these Sony fit batteries are fragile, so you don't want to drop them. That is an issue for pretty much any light that you currently buy that uses these, which is most small lights up to this size and slightly larger. So not an issue with this light at all, but just something to consider, to be careful with these batteries. The cable connection here, you have to be extremely careful with it. Always wrap it around the thing here, because otherwise this connection will break. If you just pull on it slightly too hard and or just lean something up against it, it will break. So luckily it's not the connection on the light itself that breaks, it's only the cable. But this is not a standard cable that you can find, at least not anywhere that I know of. So that means that you are relying on Aputure to send you replacements in case these break, which is not ideal. Ideally it would have a connection which, like on a lot of other lights, is completely switchable between a lot of different products, which is just the standard round connection, not this sort of three-prong connector. In my experience, Aputure give a good quality customer service, so that shouldn't be a huge problem. On the back of the light here, we have controls for group as well as channel. Like I said earlier, we do have the on-off switch right here, and we have the controls for both brightness as well as color temperature if you get the color changing version. Now, when you have it turned on, you can then use the remote to turn it on and off. If this switch is off, then the remote won't work. And so right now I'm going to set this one to channel 3, group A. So then I'm going to press this until I get to channel 3, and you don't have to do that every time, just when you want to switch the remote to a different channel. And then once I'm there, then I can turn the light on and off with the button, or change its, once it's on, then I can also change its brightness by holding down the button, or if I want to move with at individual little clicks, then I can do that as well. If I want to have this control the color as well, then I need to set it to either C or D, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it to C, and then what I can do is I can control the color temperature. So by holding it down, I can change the color. Let's take a look at what these lights look like individually. I've got the two backlights, which I'm going to turn off. So now I'm being lit with the daylight balanced version over here with the large 6-foot umbrella, which I'll have a link to down below. I think that's the 6-foot. It's a white umbrella, very large, and you know, giving me a nice soft front light. So for example, one lighting setup could be a sort of back/rim light and front light, and here the front light is going to be a little weaker than this. So as you can see, this one's giving me a little bit more power. That really just depends on the lighting setup that you want to create. Without that, we can just use a little bit of the fill light in the room to give a much more of a dramatic look to this sort of wraparound lighting sort of style. So the only light that's coming to my face is, you know, from very slightly from the edges of the umbrellas, and mostly just a little bit that's bouncing back from around the room. And of course, if we want to just have one backlight, then we could, and you know, this is just something to create fairly simple, and it can give you know, a nice dramatic effect. Not something that I generally would use myself in a lot of situations, but can be useful. Now, something that I really loved about the 528 version of this is that I could have the batteries plugged into it and it plugged into the wall like I have it set up right here, and I could use it like this in the studio just as needed. And then whenever I needed to take it away from the plug, whether I need to take it out for a small shoot or whatever was needed, I would just unplug it and go, and it was a very quick thing to do without having to worry about taking these out of the chargers, checking if they are charged. I just knew that they were ready to go, and that was great. So let's conclude. The light gives a very high quality of light in a decent package that is very lightweight and easy to use with a fantastic remote control system. I really hope that Aputure brings out a version of this which has a different plug connection. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this review helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. There will be updates in the first link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!